Good afternoon and happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. Goodness, guys, I got so much work done outside today. I not only reweeded the 2 flower beds in the front yard and watered the plants because they were like dying out there today. I also ended up weeding out the front bed right next to our front door, which is a horrible pain in my butt, guys. All the other beds, honestly, they're super easy to maintain right now because the plants are like, you know, we only have like a couple plants, you know, here and there around and stuff like that. And not even though, because like our hostas are so big and stuff like that, but like it's easy to maintain because we just planted everything there. But the one next to our front door, we've got a rose bush that's there. So not only do I have to get in next to the rose bush to weed everything out, but we also have a huge ton of lilies that are in there that are completely overgrown, and they are just like spreading like wildfire in there, honestly, guys. Which is amazing because it's awesome, because I'm planning on transplanting those into the driveway, like flower bed in between our neighbors and our driveway. So I was going to do that with the ones that are in there that are like taking over, but that's another reason why it's just a huge horrible pain to try and get into that flower bed. So today I did, and it was honestly, like I said, it was rough because not only did I have to try and maneuver myself around, because like the bed is not like just a small little like flower bed, it's like a big garden bed, kind of like in our front garden bed, which I will say about that one, there was barely anything that was salvageable in there. So for the most part, when I weeded that, I just pretty much almost tore everything out because almost everything in there was weeds. And then, but in this one, there were so many of those lilies that it was like, okay, there's like, you know, a lily like here, and then there'd be like weeds all around it, and I've got to try and like in small little spaces to pull the weeds out without pulling any of the lilies out. I ended up pulling out a handful of lilies, honestly, guys, because they were just, it was too difficult to do without them. But I ended up doing decently well. It saved the majority of them that will be transplanted now. The only problem is they're in bloom right now, and so I feel really bad if I move them while they're like the really mature ones. Well, the problem is that we had a couple of like mulberry trees that were growing in there, most likely from like birds or something like that, that were growing in that bed. So that was the other reason that it was such a pain, was because I had to try and get in there and saw them out and like, you know, use the trimmers and stuff like that. And so that was a horrible pain as well. But the reason that only some of them in that bed, though, are actually in bloom is because the other ones haven't been getting enough sunlight because of the rose bush and of the other trees that have been there. So now that that's all taken care of, hopefully next year they'll bloom, but only the ones like that are furthest out, that are the ones that I'm actually going to transplant, are the ones that right now are not, that are actually the ones that are blooming. So that's where this stinks. I can't really move the ones from the middle of the bed and try and move those over there, because those are ones I'd like to actually stay there, and the ones that are outside of the bed, or you know, further out, that have grown further out, are the ones that I'd like to move. Instead of like going from the inside of it out, I'm trying to go from the outside more in and condense the space. And so I have got to try and, I don't know, do something, but I probably need to wait a little bit until I can do that, and until I can move those. So there's a handful of them that aren't, that I would be able to move, but a lot of them are in bloom, so I don't want to move them right now. It'll probably be like towards late summer, fall time that I'll probably wind up transplanting those ones. But I could probably get a handful of them that are not blooming right now and move those, but they won't bloom this year. The ones, I'm surprised, guys. So in our far bed that we used to have with the other rose bush and the tree that was there, we had a bunch of lilies that were around that as well. I took half of them, I put them in between our driveways, our neighbor's driveway, and I took the other half of them and put them in our right in between our like deck. We have a flower bed right near the side of our deck, and The one in between the driveways did amazing. They bloomed this year. I think I told you guys. I was like so surprised that they did because I didn't think that they were going to. But yes, somebody is blowing fireworks off outside. I don't know who it is. It's okay, babies. It's okay. They're blowing fireworks off outside? Yeah. Charlie's like, what are they doing? Anyways, so the ones in between our driveways did so well. I didn't think they were going to bloom this year just because of transplanting them and moving them and stuff like that, but they're thriving there. They get so much sunlight. It's perfect for them. The ones, for some reason, that I thought were going to do better because they get sun all day around too, pretty much, or actually they didn't bloom at all this year, exactly from the same bunch of lilies. And I actually thought the ones that I moved over there were the better ones. These ones were a little bit more like not as mature. The other ones were more mature. I thought they'd do better and like actually bloom possibly, but it's weird because those ones didn't, but the ones over in between our driveways did. So I think it's just because maybe they do get more sunlight, or maybe it was a mixture of like those ones were more mature so they didn't bloom this year because they were transplanted or something like that, and these ones, just the ones in between the driveway, maybe weren't mature enough that they ended up, you know, once I replanted them, ended up, you know, soaking up all that good moisture and stuff like that in their roots and got new roots or something. I don't know. Maybe they just like they grew better over there or something like that, and the ones that were more mature didn't or aren't doing as well or something like that. They're still perfectly fine and healthy and everything like that. They just for some reason didn't bloom, which I think is weird. But I think it might have something to do with maybe more of the sunlight and stuff like that, because it does kind of get our neighbor's garage on that side by our deck, and then also too it doesn't get like overhead sun, but it does though. It's really sunny like in that part. We don't have any trees on our property at all, so all of our plants are pretty much all sun plants because we have no trees, with the exception of the hostas that we have around our bush in the front yard, because they don't do very well in sunlight. But the hostas that we have in the front of our deck actually are shaded somewhat from our deck for most of the day, so they actually in our garage, so they do a lot better there. And we used to have them around the whole part of our deck, but they didn't do as well because they got too much sunlight. So we put those there thinking they'd do better, and they're not doing very well. So I've got a lot of stuff to move, but my goal, guys, is to finish the driveway flower bed. Most likely before this weekend would be my goal, or not this weekend, but it's only Saturday today. Would be before next weekend, because our town parade is on Saturday and it goes, or on Sunday, and it goes right down our street. So I really would love to have that taken care of before this weekend, or this coming weekend. Not that it's honestly, it's not perfect. I did the bed kind of once, but I didn't finish it, and the reason was I didn't have the other bed that I finished today done, so I couldn't move those plants over there, so I haven't really like maintained it, and so it's kind of got a little overgrown again. So I need to get back over there, get that taken care of again, which I will do one day during this week. Monday's supposed to be like 90 degrees, so unless I get out there really early, I don't think Monday's gonna work, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, probably I'll finish it up one of those days. And then another day I need to get out and take care of all the bushes. My mom did trim one of our bushes out in front the other day, but I told you guys it just all kinds of crazy. It was coming in her window when she was pulling out of the driveway one day and like hit her in the face, because I just trimmed that bush too at the beginning of spring, and already it is like completely overgrown. So yeah, guys, our plants do really well in our yard. They grow really quickly, and so do weeds. Honestly, guys, we had not a black-eyed Susan. I want to say maybe it was a daisy or something like that in our front flower bed. And I told my mom, I was like, look at how big it is. It looks so pretty. And she goes, it's not supposed to be that big. The thing was like stinking as big as my face, literally, guys. It was huge. I think plants just for some reason do really well in our yard. Like, we have really not had anything like die just like because of neglect or anything like that. Most of the stuff we have is pretty like well maintainable, and it maintains itself for the most part, but with the exception of, other than it being overrun by weeds, we don't have a problem with any of our plants like dying. And like I said too, those lilies could live through anything. And then too, I found more of my great grandpa's plants that he gave to my mom, and she had over in that bed that I cleaned out today, and I found more of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's still living in here. I was so surprised because we had some in the front flower bed, and when I did that bed, we transplanted those and moved them around, and now we have more of them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's still living in here. So yeah, it's crazy, guys. Our plants do really well, but I am so happy I got that huge headache out of the way. Flower bed is done and taken care of. I have two more tasks that need to be done. One is to clean out the flower bed in between our neighbors and see how many lilies I can get planted there, and then would also be to take care of the bushes. Not only do I need to trim our like 3 bushes, because we have some in between our neighbors' driveway as well, that would be part of kind of doing the whole driveway flower bed. And then I have the front one, we have a burning bush that probably needs to be trimmed down a little bit, and then we have this it's not a honeysuckle, I can't remember what it's called, like some type of bush, but it's the one that's like right next to our driveway. It winds up overgrowing, and you can't even get in your car half the time because it's so overgrown. But that one also needs to be trimmed more on the top, because like I said, my mom did part of it. So yeah, guys, I got a lot done today. I'm so happy. Like I said, weeded the other 2 flower beds, the normal ones, watered the plants, and actually weeded out for the first time, and can officially say that it is done, the one next to our front door. So it looks so pretty too. All of the lilies in there were a little trampled on. They should come back up though, but I had to get in there to be able to get some of the other stuff out. So hopefully just some maintaining in that bed, and they will all be back to all of them blooming hopefully next year. But I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.